Bone aging, often described through terms like osteopenia or osteoporosis, is commonly accepted as a natural, irreversible hallmark of growing older. Yet this view oversimplifies what is, in truth, a complex and nutrient-sensitive biological process. Bones are not static structures that crumble with time. They are living tissues in a constant state of remodeling, adapting to stress, movement, and biochemical signals. The gradual loss of bone density that many experience with age does not result from a predetermined program of decay, but from long-standing imbalances in nutrient availability, especially calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2. These are the core nutritional regulators of calcium homeostasis, and their insufficiency is far more widespread than generally acknowledged. Once we understand this, we no longer need to frame bone aging as a disease of time. It becomes the visible expression of unaddressed nutritional deficits. Calcium is the most discussed component in bone health, but its story is incomplete without its key cofactors. While dietary calcium provides the raw mineral substrate for bone formation, it cannot be properly utilized or deposited in the skeletal matrix without adequate levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D enhances intestinal absorption of calcium, ensuring it reaches the bloodstream in sufficient amounts. Yet blood calcium levels alone tell us little about bone health. What matters more is where that calcium goes, and this is where vitamin K2 enters the picture. Vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin, a protein secreted by osteoblasts, which binds calcium and incorporates it into the bone matrix. Without K2, calcium may circulate in the blood or even deposit in soft tissues, contributing to vascular calcification, but it will not be efficiently anchored in bone. This is a critical distinction. Simply consuming calcium, without the full complement of cofactors, does not prevent bone loss. It may, in some cases, even worsen systemic calcification. Magnesium, often overlooked, is equally vital. It regulates parathyroid hormone, PTH, and the activity of vitamin D, modulating both calcium absorption and mobilization. Chronic magnesium deficiency disrupts this balance, leading to increased bone resorption, breakdown, and impaired new bone formation. In addition, magnesium stabilizes ADP, the energy currency needed for the enzymatic activities of bone remodeling. Without sufficient magnesium, bone turnover slows, and the skeleton becomes increasingly brittle and metabolically inactive. Many older adults, especially those with diets low in whole grains, legumes, leafy greens, and nuts, do not meet even the minimum recommended intake of magnesium, compounding this risk silently over decades. Thus, what we label as bone aging is rarely a result of time alone. It is a cumulative signal that the physiological requirements for skeletal maintenance have gone unmet for many years. The body does not fail to preserve bone because of age. It reprioritizes. In the face of chronic nutrient scarcity, calcium is pulled from bones to maintain tight control over serum calcium, a process essential for nerve conduction, muscle contraction, and clotting. This is a survival adaptation, not a flaw. The body sacrifices structure to preserve function. Over time, however, this slow leaching of minerals from bone, without adequate replenishment, leads to the thinning and fragility that defines osteoporosis. But it is not inevitable. It is conditional, and conditions can be changed. Evidence for this nutritional paradigm is clear. Populations with high dietary intakes of calcium and magnesium, along with sufficient sun exposure, vitamin D, and fermented foods, a natural source of vitamin K2, have far lower rates of osteoporosis, even in old age. In Japan and certain parts of Europe, where natto or aged cheeses are staples, K2 levels are naturally higher and bone density loss is significantly less dramatic. Conversely, in Western countries with high calcium intake but low K2 consumption and widespread vitamin D deficiency, rates of hip fracture and spinal compression increase sharply after middle age. This discrepancy highlights a crucial truth. Calcium alone does not protect bones. Coordinated nutrient synergy does. Clinical trials also support targeted repletion. Supplementation with K2 has been shown to reduce bone loss in postmenopausal women and improve bone mineral density. Vitamin D restoration in deficient individuals correlates with improved calcium absorption and reduced fracture risk. And when magnesium is added to calcium and vitamin D regimens, bone outcomes improve far more than with calcium alone. These effects are not due to age reversal, they are due to restored nutrient signaling and resumed skeletal upkeep. The body never stops being able to rebuild bone. It simply stops receiving the instructions and materials to do so. In reframing bone aging as the result of nutrient shortages, not inevitable decay, we regain agency. It is not that our bones forget how to stay strong with age. It's that we often stop feeding them what they need to do so. The solution is not to fear time, but to nourish consistently, comprehensively, and preemptively. Aging bones are not evidence of a failing body, but of unmet metabolic demand. And when we finally meet that demand, even decades later, the bone responds, not passively, but actively. Bone health is not lost with age, it is eroded by omission. And that makes it, to a large extent, preventable.